Hello, I'm Elaine Boyd. I'm an instructor with MMS. In this Tech Bite, we'll be covering all the ways that a subject grade can be entered into the teacher portal. Let's jump right in. Now, in this Tech Bite, I will be demonstrating 3 different examples of how a school can be set up for grade reporting. This first example is just straight subject grades. They are not looking at any skills, standards, or competencies. We're going to start with the more common way of entering in a grade, and then we'll go to the less known or less used. So we're going to start with the gradebook, and we're going to go to our summary grid. And here we have an assignment with several grades here, and we are going to enter in our assignment grades for Chapter 9. So I just start clicking in the first student and entering in their grades. I can see this assignment is worth 100 points. And I can keep doing that. I'm actually clicking from field to field. I could use my arrow keys up and down. I could hit my enter key and enter in grades. You can see here that my quarter average now is a question mark. That indicates that MMS knows that these students have had a new grade entered in and that their total points and points scored have changed, and thus their quarter average needs to be recalculated. We'll recalculate that in just a minute. Let me enter in a few more grades here and one more. So I could enter in each student manually, and that would be fine, but we give you some tools here in the summary grid. If I right-click on any of the assignment score cells, I have some options show up. I can edit the assignment. I can delete the assignment. MMS will allow me to delete an assignment even if it has grades associated with it. Use that one with caution. And also I have the ability to assign the same points or score as to all. So let's take a look at that. The first option here is to enter the same points for all of my students. So if I had an assignment where everybody did really well or everybody did really poorly, but the majority of the grades were the same, I could enter in that value here and then assign the same points with no override. That means those students that have already entered in grades, those grades will remain intact, or I can override and just remove all of the grades that I've already entered in. Where I've already entered some in, I'm going to do this with no override. And all of my students that don't have a grade are now going to receive a grade of 100. Now it just defaulted to that because that's the point value for this assignment. I could put, 55 or I could put 95, but we're going to go with what it defaulted to, and we're not going to override. It lets me know that it entered in grades for 6 students, so I'm going to close that window. And all the other students that I hadn't entered grades for now have a grade of 100. Let me go and delete some of these here and demonstrate that option again. So I'm going to right-click, and this time I can see that I have 3 students who don't have grades at all. So those grades are officially missing. So I'm going to go to my Assign Same Point Score As to All. And this time, rather than assigning points, I'm going to flag those as missing. And again, I am not going to override because I want to only do this for those 3 missing students. And so there we go. I can see that it's been assigned to those 3 students. I'm going to close my window, and now they are flagged as being missing. Now you notice with missing, it shows up as red. If there was a missing assignment, obviously there wouldn't be a score there. So it does enter in a 0 for that student, and it has an MI next to that grade, and it does negatively impact a student's grade, a missing assignment. We have some other examples here. We have a dropped grade, and you can do that as a score as, or you can assign it individually. So if I go back here, and so I have a student who received a 0 on a chapter test, I can right-click, set that to dropped, and drop will maintain the grade that the student had. So you see another example here where a student received a 65, and I've dropped that score for that student. And if I recalculate, it's going to pull the total points for that assignment from their total points and also remove their points scored. So it no longer has an impact on the student's grade. And the last one I want to do, and I do have an example here, is exempt. So exempt will zero out the grade, or if there's no grade in there, it will put a 0 in for the grade and followed by a hyphen and EX. And just like a drop score, this has no impact on the student's grade as opposed to missing. So the other area where we can enter in grades is through the assignment editor, and the same options are available to you. It's just how you get there. So if I want to enter in grades for my chapter 7 assignment, I just click on the A+, and it's going to open up a window here, and I can enter in whichever grades I need. I have the same option of assigning the same points or score as to all, and also the required, the missing, dropped, or exempt. Now, I didn't talk about required. When you create an assignment, it automatically defaults the assignment to all grades being required. And here also you have ready access to the teacher note, and this teacher note is specifically for that assignment. It's not the term note, it is the assignment note, and we also give you spell check. The other area where you can enter in grade, if the teacher chooses not to create assignments and have those assignments calculate the term grade, a teacher can go in through the grade book, assign grades, and go into final grade entry. Here you will select your marking period, and then you can enter in the term grade. So in my case that would be quarter 1. So I could enter in their quarter grade as well as entering in their 4 comment codes that are available. Actually, the last one is going to be the class attendance, so I really don't want to put a comment code in there. And then I also have access to the term note for my students. And those are the only options that this teacher has with this setup, this configuration. So I'm going to log out of my teacher. Here, this is my middle school teacher, and I'm going to log in as my grade school teacher. Now, my grade school teacher is set up for skills, and those skills are associated with the assignments, and the way I have this configured in this school, those skills grades will be determined by the assignment grade. So it behaves a little bit differently. So if I go into my summary grid and I have my homework assignment here, if I click in, let's see, let's pick on Joshua and just enter in any number. So I just randomly hit 2 number keys, and it's going to open up this window. Now, this is based on 100 points, and if I enter in a 99, and my next student, I'm going to enter in an 88, and this one I'm going to do a 50. You'll notice that question marks are showing up here for my associated skills. That's because they are going to be graded based on some averaging that I have set up in the staff portal for the assignment grade. So I'm going to compute standard grades, and so now I have my 99 now is outstanding for all of my skills, 88 is satisfactory, and the 50 is unsatisfactory. This same method is open, is available if I were to enter in grades through my assignments. The same thing is going to happen. And I also have my final grade entry where I can come in and enter in the term grade for the subject grade for my term. So these were all calculated by the assignments, but if I wanted to, I could enter in what their quarter one grade would be, as well as entering in comment codes and the term note field for that student. This TechBite is not going to cover how you would enter in either skills or competency grades or standard grades, but under the skills grades menu, I do have the ability to view and enter in subject grades, very similar to what we just saw here with the final grade entry. Here I have my quarter grade and then my comment codes and my note field. The last example we are going to see is a school that is set up for competencies. Competencies are different than what standards or skills are. In the case of competencies, when I create my assignments need to be attached to or linked to competencies, and those competencies will be graded, added together, and create the assignment grade. So the competencies is what will drive the term grade for the student. If an assignment doesn't have competencies associated with it, it will not be taken into consideration as part of the calculation for the term grade. So if I go to my summary grid, and again, I'm going to take my assignment. Oh, I don't want this course, sorry. Let's go to my geometry class here. And if I click on any grade field, type in a number, just like with my standards or skills, another window is going to open up, but this one's going to be slightly different. Here I can see I have 3 competencies associated with my assignment, and rather than giving an assignment grade and having that assignment grade feed into the standards grades, or in this case competency, I'm going to grade my competencies. So this assignment is worth 100 points, and each of the 3 competencies are worth 33, 33, and 34 points. So I'm going to enter in my grades, and I'm just using my arrow keys to get from cell to cell. And you can see now the question marks are forming on the assignment grade. And if I click on Compute Assignment Scores, those 3 numbers are going to be added together, and it's going to determine my assignment grade. Now if I right-click, I am still going to have that same assigned same points scored as to all, and also be able to set an assignment as missing, dropped, or exempt. I hope you've enjoyed this TechBite on how to enter in grades through the teacher portal. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this TechBite.